a lot of times we'll ask students, what makes you mad? And that's a good way to, or what do you think about on your weekends, or what do you think about on your free time? Mm-hmm. And that really gives us an inroads into understanding where their passions are.
Okay.
And then we try to help just cultivate those passions. You know, young people can be really apathetic at times, and trying to let them see that it's okay to really care about something. I guess for me personally, I blame the school system for developing this inability to care about things. So we're trying to break some of those habits, I guess.
By the way, where are you now? It's interesting to see the background outside the window. It looks like a Dutch.
We're in Iowa, and we have a super unusual 70-degree February day. So
it's colder in California.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah.
My parents go to Arizona for the winter, and we were talking over the weekend, and it was warmer in Iowa than it was in Arizona. So their snowbirding failed.
Yeah. Could we turn to each of you, the three students? Could you each talk a little bit about what it is about your experience at IowaBIG that you like so much, and contrast that to your experience in the traditional school?
Well, reading them, though, say that what they like about it. Maybe they don't like.
Yeah, well, give us the full picture. No, yeah, I don't want to beg the question here. What do you like, and especially what don't you like? There, how's that?
Yeah.
No, just tell us compare your experience in the big environment to this traditional school environment, good and bad, both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think compared to traditional, what I like is you're in the community, engaging with business partners, organizations, just ordinary people, and you create good networking, a lot of relationships. And then also, kind of going back to the passion, is you're enjoying what you're learning about at IowaBIG, where compared back at the traditional high school, I'm forced to learn something that they want me to learn and how they want me to learn. And here, I'm getting my literature credit while learning about a topic or a project that I enjoy.
What is that, by the way?
My project, Ecliline, is a project to try to shift the social norms of women body types and what they can wear and what they can't wear. And so on that project, we're creating women outfits, dresses, and then she will actually be having a fashion show and Fashion Week in Iowa City here in May. Yeah. My passions when I first joined BIG was architecture and interior design. So I worked with a project called Beaver Park Redesign, where we worked on redesigning Beaver Park Zoo here. And that, our design actually got accepted by the city, and they should start taking some of our ideas and implementing that within the next couple of years. And then I also helped with the team design our IowaBIG space that we're in this year with the building owner and building manager. This year it's kind of shifted with the passion of transforming education for the better of all my peers. And so with that, another student and I, Hannah Bertram, created the project Every Vision. And our mission on that project is to educate communities on the importance of learner-centered education while bringing traditional and non-traditional peers and educators together to revise education. So within that project, we'll host events. We're hoping to partner with a firm called Education Reimagined out of DC to network with students across the nation that have the same passion as us to continue the movement of learner-centered education. And then we will also have our podcast where we will interview educators, students, community members on hot topics of education and moving forward on that. So that's just starting. We have our first event this Saturday called Ed Stu Camp. It will be the first year for bringing the educators and the students to an Ed2 camp. So we have about 175 educators and about 23 students coming to that event. So we're getting prepared for that.
Wow. Okay.
And sorry, Jamar.
It's all right.
This project, I assume the other projects that you mentioned before this one, these were not given to you as projects to work on. These were initiatives that came from, that evolved out of your interests. Is that right?
Yep. These projects I picked. I got to pick the projects I want. Me and Hannah Bertram pitched the project Every Vision to Trace and Sean, and they liked the idea of it. We actually have something called Barbecue, and that's where it's like an online database that holds all our projects where we can go through and look. And there are times that I go through and I look maybe every other week and see if there's a new project or if there's a project that I think I might be interested in. And here at IowaBIG, it's okay if you drop a project. Because if you drop a project, it's either because you were not benefiting from the project or the project was not benefiting from you. So if you no longer have a passion for a project, they suggest dropping it.
How about Miranda and Sophie? Can you talk about the projects, what you like, what you don't like, here and there?
Well, like what Jamar said, if you drop a project, it doesn't automatically mean you get an F, like here. Like that's one thing I really like about IowaBIG is because you have so much freedom here, and you are able to pick and choose or drop or find projects that really interest you without automatically getting an F here. So that's one of my favorite things. And like in a traditional school sense, I always find myself like so hard to pay attention and so hard to actually like grasp what we're actually learning. But like over at IowaBIG, I feel like I can still learn the curriculum that we need to learn, but also get to work on things that might like influence what I want to do in the future. So that's what I really like about here.
Okay.
Sophie?
So when I first started IowaBIG, I really struggled with figuring out what do I want to do because there's so many choices, and I was afraid I'd be missing out on something. So I was joining projects and dropping projects left and right. But I feel like this semester I've kind of found my niche, and I'm figuring out like this is what I really care about, and this is what I like. And so I think BIG specifically has helped me identify that what I care about, and that it's okay not to love something. You know, it's okay I didn't like some of my projects I was on, and I shouldn't be on them if I'm not passionate about them.
How many students in your cohort in the traditional schools are like you guys, you think?
So how many students at their traditional school are like this?
Are like you guys? I mean, do you feel like you are a very small minority, or that there are other kids who have the same kind of passion but don't want to take the step to try?
If I'm understanding your question right, yes, I think a lot of my peers at the traditional high school would want the chance of IowaBIG. And I've talked to a few of my peers at traditional high school, and some of them aren't really scared, but they're so set in the way of traditional school, especially as a junior, they just don't want to leave it. They're already in their AP classes. Why leave? Some of them already have a 4.1 GPA, and so they're kind of in the way of, I'm doing fine, then why leave? While other students are the opposite. They're like, they have a 4.0 GPA, or they may have a 2.5, and they're wanting to try this education out. So.
Yeah, and I have friends come up to me every day saying like they really would like to do BIG next year, but it's scary. It's scary to leave a traditional school where you've grown up in. That's all you know. But I think specifically this year, there's a lot of interest from my peers going into it next year.
You know, I think part of the challenge for students is that they've kind of been sold this bill of goods that the school systems know what they're doing.
That's dangerous.
You heretic.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay.
And so I lost your video here. I'm trying to, there we go. And so Oh, shoot, sorry. And so with that, it is scary to think about a different option and then really go to something that is so far to the left of where traditional school is. I mean, I do not blame students at all when they say they're scared to do it, or when they're nervous about it, or if parents are wondering, well, does this really prepare them for college? You know, I think those are supernatural questions to ask that we answer to the best of our ability. But I think one thing that we universally believe as a staff is that traditional school isn't necessarily doing a good job of that either. You know, it's doing a historical job of it, but that's a lot different than a good job. So that's a battle that we're willing to fight.
Okay.
I'll tell you, Deanne has a question here, I believe.
Could you each mention the mic what it was that, and us, what intrigued you about?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. We can't quite understand you.
Can you let us know what it was that intrigued you about getting involved with our Flow project, and why you thought it might be worthwhile for you each to be involved?
When I first networked with Gary, I really wasn't even on the project. It was just a simple announcement at Prairie to help him out. And when we kind of sat down and talked about it, we conversated about what my passions are, my advocacy and education, and talked about his side of things. And we soon quickly realized that they crossed paths. And what Gary and you guys are trying to accomplish is showing the difference between happiness, the concentration, et cetera, between traditional and non-traditional schools is what I advocate. So that is why I joined it. It basically is, you guys are showing the research of what I advocate for. So
great, and it's great to have you, Jamar.
Thank you.
And with me, I was having a hard time really finding a project I enjoyed. So I was talking to one of the teachers, I guess you could call them here, and I was telling him some of my interests, and he was like, "Oh, well, there's this Flow project you could join. No one's on it yet, so why don't you try that out?" And because I really want to get into psychology, some type of psychology when I get older, so this really interested me. So I was like, might as well give it a try.
Yeah, for me, it was not as much I'm super interested in psychology. I sat down with Sean and I was like, none of my projects I don't like them. To be honest, they're not what I care about. So he said, well, this one would be really good for you. So, if you want to try it out, and I ended up really enjoying it.
Great.
Okay, and we're just getting started too. So we've got a lot of things planned for you.
I think the most fun may be coming down the road.
Yeah, you don't know yet. So do you guys? I know you know a little bit about Professor Csikszentmihalyi's work, his history, but I don't think much. But based upon what you do know, are starting from where you are, do you have questions that you'd like to ask him about flow, about learning, about creativity, about happiness, about positive psychology?
I do. I'll let the students think about this a little bit. I'm currently in grad school for educational measurement and statistics. And this morning I was working on the programming language R. So it's like SAS or SPSS. And I'm just learning it. And so I was trying to write code in R. And I think I entered a flow state. And I was like, after I was finished, I was taking a shower and I was thinking back on it. I was like, I don't know what happened to that time. I started about 4:30 and it was about 6:30, and I was like, I lost at least an hour and a half, it felt like, where I was really working hard at this thing. I haven't had that experience really since I played basketball, since I did a really physical activity. So the study that the students are currently doing, I've just been wondering about how much research has been done about students who enter flow states when they're doing schoolwork. It seems like I have to be trying to build something, or I have to be somehow like physically involved in something. I don't know if that question makes sense.
Yeah, we have a lot of work with high school students, and there are a couple of books and articles on that. And it's true that students report from school flow when basically in two different subject matters more than anything else. One is fine arts and computer programming. These are both hands-on kind of and free exploration of what could be done, and there is no rules yet to tell you what to do, and you can explore them, and you get lost in that activity, like you say. You know, hours pass by, and also if they are doing physical activity, sports, like part of the basketball team or whatever, they would report it from there also. But it's much more rare to hear students report flow from the more abstract subjects like mathematics or even physics, or actually the lowest rating of flow usually in high school is from history.
I can believe that.
Sorry.
And it's really sad, because history could be a fantastic.
You know, yeah, we were, or I've been thinking about a lot. I teach economics here as well, and so I've been thinking about opportunity cost a lot. And it's something that I don't think schools really consider, is that, you know, we want to cover all this content. We want to cover all these specific facts or whatever. But the opportunity cost of that is that we destroy learning. You know, we destroy opportunity for entering flow states in a lot of time, or developing a passion for a subject by having to cover all this specific content. I mean,
Right.
it's enough to drive kids crazy.
And then once you do experience flow in learning and you become interested in history or anything else, then you know how to do it on your own.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you can start, and is my understanding correct that, like, you can create the conditions, like you can't guarantee the result, but you can create the conditions for entering flow states.
Right. And some of those conditions are the rules of the game, you know, in chess, for instance, and it's a hard game, but because it's kind of clear, transparent what you have to do and how to do it, some people get really hooked on that, and not everyone, but that is, in a sense, all the games that we play, whether it's basketball or chess, I mean, are hard, challenging rules, but they're clear, and if you are inclined physically, you can do it playing basketball or doing some other sport that has clear rules, and in a sense, that's we are, you know, over time, humanity has developed lots of good games, but it hasn't really, we haven't really learned how to do it with school activities as well as we can by creating other forms of pure flow states where you can just enjoy it for itself. But in school learning, it's much harder because we are, the learning is excessively structured, and it's assumed to be kind of a difficult experience. On the school that in the village of Csikszentmihalyi, which is where my family comes from, in that village, the school, the primary school, has a nice gate, wooden gate, to enter the courtyard and then the school. And then this entrance gate, it's carved a line from the Roman orator Cicero. It's in Hungarian, it's translated, and it's in Hungarian, it says, "The roots of learning are bitter, but its fruits are sweet."
Yeah.
And this is kind of the rhetoric that even the Roman times, like Cicero, thought that learning has to be bitter, somehow. And it's a kind of unfortunate thing that we took the learning as being something that you have to kind of dislike because it's bitter, the process, but then you get a diploma or you get and you can go out and enjoy it, and because the market will reward you with a good salary and whatever.
Yeah, we've run into that a lot too, where some of our colleagues will see our kids happy and see our students enjoying the experience of being here, or enjoying the learning that they do, and they assume that we're just messing around.
Learning, yeah.
They must not be learning anything if they're so happy doing it.
That can't be rigorous, right?
Yeah, exactly. There can't be any rigor there if they're happy doing it. And I just always, I was kind of raised like that, where if I was happy doing something, I probably wasn't working hard enough.
Well, I'm just going to add a little something here quickly to insert something that all of this discussion here the last couple minutes, I think provides great support for one of the things Deanne and I are learning by looking at the data from the ESM data, because we're finding that students in general in the study, and we haven't yet separated the big students from the other students, are reporting very low levels of challenge throughout the day. They're just not feeling challenged, both at school and away from school. And we've been puzzling over that. Why are they not experiencing challenge? And we've come to the hypothesis, and I think we're right here, that challenge is perceived as drudgery, as difficult, as unpleasant. Who wants to be challenged? And I think that what's happening is that a lot of the big students are reporting, while at school, low levels of challenge, because what they're doing isn't really drudgery, it isn't really difficult, it isn't really unpleasant, it isn't really, as Cicero said, bitter. It's fun. They're having fun doing what in school, students in traditional schools would see as challenging, difficult, bitter. Challenge. So I think that might be what's going on there. I think challenge is experienced as fun among you guys, not as the usual connotation that most students experience or think about it.
Does that sound plausible to you guys?
Yeah, I was just kind of mentioning to them, that's how I answered the question. I didn't answer, I think I probably, what you're explaining, because when I answered the question, especially for IowaBIG, is I get challenged what I'm doing, but it's because I like it. Or no, it's not what Yes, I do get challenged at IowaBIG, but what I'm being challenged on is what I enjoy. So I don't view it as bad or I don't like it. If that's answering.
Yeah, and when we looked at, we can move on to other topics here, but this morning we were looking at the correlations between challenge and freedom to do what you're doing at the time, and concentration, lots of other things. And we're finding that students are experiencing challenge, looks as if they're experiencing challenge, not as something they like, but as something that's forced on them, something they have to do, be in a lecture, listen to something boring, that doesn't interest them. It's not, they don't have the freedom to choose it. And I think that's the difference between what's happening in your environment and what's happening with, you know, most of the students in the study.
An interesting aspect of that, I think, is that you know, when I would lecture in the classroom, I thought myself as an entertaining lecturer. Like, students enjoyed going to those lectures and thinking about those things.
This was before you were teaching here, right?
Yeah, before I was teaching at BIG. And I think they would say that it wasn't all that challenging at those times too. But I would posit that they are probably doing more thinking about those subjects than they've ever done before in their lives. And thinking different thoughts about subjects, I think, is a challenging thing. But if they're being presented in a way that you find entertaining or you find interesting, that doesn't feel challenging necessarily. I mean, that can be joyful.
That's well put, Dennis. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I hadn't thought of it like that. Like, my favorite teachers in the past have been my language arts teachers, because it's all discussion and it's bringing up things like I've never thought about that. And so I don't view it as challenging because I'm enjoying it, but it is forcing me to think in a different way. That would be challenging if we weren't enjoying it. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to say that.
If you just made it more miserable, it'd be challenging.
Right.
Yeah, okay, no, this is giving us a lot to think about here, and I think there are a lot of good things that are going to come from our data. More questions from you guys, or things you'd like to share?
Yeah. It's probably like awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I could have prepared a good list.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes good things can come from a lack of preparation. That's
the hope, at least.
Yeah.
Jamar, can you talk a little bit? Back in November, you gave a talk in front of a very large community group about kind of your life story, at least the academic part of your life story the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about, you know, that journey and how that's evolved just in the last few months. Can you kind of give us sort of a thumbnail of that?
Yeah, I'll just do it in a quick nutshell. So I've never really liked traditional education as early as elementary because of that hate for education. Became very rebellious. Didn't like to go to class. Refused to work. Laughed out on teachers. And because of that, obviously, I got consequences, sorry. And those, as early as elementary, the consequences would be getting recesses taken away. But that hate for school had become embedded in me throughout middle school. So refusing to work, refusing to go to class, skipping class, being disrespectful to my teachers, then led to detentions and suspensions. That kind of ultimately led up to me being escorted out of the school, in high school on multiple occasions, being told, don't come back until your act is together and you're ready to learn. And that was kind of the tipping point for me. On those occasions, being escorted out of the building. And so I joined IowaBIG my second semester of my sophomore year. And like I kind of mentioned, when I first came into BIG, my passions were around architecture, interior design, that kind of stuff. So I worked on the Beaver Park redesign zoo, and then the mentors here at IowaBIG worked really hard to find me a project. And they actually came to me and asked if me and another student would like to draw a floor plan of our new big space we're in. And so I did that, but I didn't just draw a floor plan and hand it to them. I used Google SketchUp. I researched a lot about the psychology of learning, maker spaces, open office spaces, what colors help people learn best, what furniture helps people learn best, all of that information, put that into my design, and then presented that to the building owner and building manager. And that design was ultimately taken. There was a few critiques to it, but it was really rewarding to see, coming from traditional education, hating it, having a 2.0 GPA, being escorted out of the building, to now flourishing in education and actually seeing something happen. So looking at my junior year,
actually, if I could interrupt Jamar real quick, when he first showed up, he came at semester, And because of the freedom that we have in our system, in our structure, the freedom of time, the freedom of space with students, we let Jamar just kind of start and just see if he was going to figure out on his own what he was interested in or what he wanted to do. And in those first couple weeks, he did a really bad job of it. Like, he for sure was showing up here, but it seemed like he thought he was getting away with something by not doing anything, which is something that he had learned to do. Like, that is a learned behavior that he had from school. He learned that avoiding is winning. And he was doing that. And he was doing that here. And Sean and I were talking about him. We were concerned about him. We were talking about sending him back to the traditional model, like maybe this wasn't something for him. And we just happened to really stumble into this design project that we then pitched to him. And he said he would like to do. And now he's like this, right? Like, he's an absolute beast. We put him in front of everyone to tell his story and to talk about BIG. Like, we never would have been able to predict that from his first couple of days at school, or first couple of days at BIG. We never would have imagined that he would be organizing alternative education opportunities for students. We never would have been able to predict any of those things, and he never would have had the opportunity to do it, and he never would have done it. Like, he would have graduated high school with a 2.0 GPA. I doubt he would have gone to college. I don't know what he would have done. And that is because he learned in school that not doing stuff is winning. Like, that's a tragedy. So, sorry. Mark,
he hit it pretty good.
They did it tomorrow, part two.
Here, I came into IowaBIG with kind of the same passion of architecture. I was on a project called Sleeping Giant. Here in Cedar Rapids in 2008, we had a flood that washed away a bridge. And so some community leaders were tired of seeing that bridge sit there. So they came to us with a project of creating a 3D model design of what that would want to look like, or what we would want it to look like. But halfway, about last semester this year, I decided to drop it because of the project I was starting. I wanted to spend more time on that. In November, I traveled out to Washington, D.C. with Hannah Bertram and then Dr. Chris Pickering to the student conference with Education Reimagined. There we kind of met with a lot of peers and educators that come from environments like this around the nation, talked about why we believe we should have it, how we've all benefited from it. From that, I'd become very moved, and I told them that. So I went back out 2 weeks later to Washington, D.C. and worked with them at their Visionary Leader Conference, where we kind of generated a plan of how we wanted to move the movement of learner-centered education within the next year. Since then, I do a lot of networking across the nation with educators and peers around this topic. Like I said, I started Every Vision. I work very closely with Education Reimagined. So I've been busy with that. So that's kind of a nutshell of my story.
Wow. Wow. What a story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Can you talk a little bit about when and where you might have experienced flow during that over the last few months?
I'd say it wasn't even just the past few months. I'd say, kind of going off what Dennis said, I was a lot happier here at IowaBIG right when I joined, but I was so embedded in the way of, I'm not doing anything, I'll get away with it. I'll still get a grade, it'll be fine at the end of the day. And having to learn that they're giving me this freedom, and I can actually do something with it, kind of made me even more happy. So I'd say probably within the first week of joining BIG, me wanting to come to school, even though maybe I wasn't doing stuff right away. But yeah, I'd say within the first week of joining IowaBIG, I noticed a lot more of a wanting to come to school, happiness of doing what I'm doing. Within this past year, I'd say it's gone up tremendously. I constantly doing my schoolwork. When I leave here, I go home. I'm doing my schoolwork, ed revision work, so stuff like that. But I wouldn't say it wasn't just in these past couple months. I'd say it was on disability.
All right. We just have a few minutes left here. I think about 3. Mike, do you want to add something?
I would like the other students, if they have something to say, to hear from you guys.
Just about our experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, I think IowaBIG has been an extremely positive change in my life. Last year, in freshman year, I wasn't going to class. I was depressed. I'd go sit in my car and not show up. I don't think I made it a full week ever. This year, I mean, I always skip when I'm sick, but other than that, I mean, I'm much happier. I feel a lot more like myself.
Wow.
I definitely don't have a story like Jamar
Yeah.
or Sophie, because I mean, I've always been taught to go to class, but yeah, I always found myself not really learning when I went to just the traditional school. I always felt myself wanting to text or wanting to talk or not do my work in class. And then when I got to IowaBIG, it's really opened my mind and made me think I can do something that I really enjoy with still learning. So that's really been a big change to me. Like she said, it's a really positive environment. So that's also helped me with my learning here.
Wow. Well, it's really great to hear people who are taking charge of their own education and their own lives like you do.
Yeah, and that's something we try to push on kids where, this idea that you can go through school and then when you're done learning.
Yeah.
Is really a battle that we fight every day, where you define what you're going to learn, and that is a continuous process.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's true. And here I am learning from you guys at age great. I hope you continue and you contribute to this project that is taking place in the prairies of Iowa. And I hope that we'll all see the flowers blossoming from it in the years to come.
Yeah, hopefully non-bitter rules of learning can produce some sweet fruit as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's sure. Yeah,
This garden will have no bitter root.
Yeah, indeed.
If anyone thinks of questions that you wish you had asked, then just feel free to text or email Gary, and we'll be sure we ask Mike before we have to fly back to Iowa on Thursday, or we'll get him covered one way or another. So we really appreciate this. This was great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the time. This is it's an honor, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, well.
And it's great to work with people like Gary and Diane, and through them with people like you, because there's so much to do, and it's so easy not to do anything, or to do it the old way or the inefficient way. So to get the energy that you are putting in this, it's what we need more. I hope you're gonna continue, and best wishes to you. Okay, and
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And if there is any question later, 2 or 3 years from now, that you want to ask it through Gary, and we can do it on Skype again. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk with you soon.
Yep, sounds good. We'll see you.
Bye. Bye. Are there people waiting to break in or something? Oh, okay. Sorry.